If you're thinking about selling your home, if you're like most sellers, the first step is that list of repairs or improvements you need to go through before you get a sign on the yard. Many times sellers actually spend more money than they need to and in some cases waste their cash. So how do you avoid that? To tackle the question, Week News real estate expert Danny Grimes here with us this morning to go over this. You do need to spend probably some money, but maybe not as much as you're afraid you have to spend. Where are we at?
Sellers are very afraid that they're going to spend a lot of money, and that's one of the first questions that I get asked when I get there. So what do I need? That's a key word to do to get my home ready for sale. And here's some good advice can really save the sellers a lot of money. So I've got a quick little list, and this is generally good news for the sellers.
Okay, good.
And number one is that clean and tidy sells. And the good thing is that's kind of free. You don't have to pay, just a little elbow grease. But the bottom line is dirt is never in, and clutter is never high on a buyer's wish list. So sellers should take care of that first.
Yeah, that's lesson number one, that clutter. You got to clear it out.
Yeah, it's common sense. The other things are the kind of the small things you can do are sometimes the best investments. And I like the best thing a seller I think can do is paint. Particularly on the inside. Inside paint's going to give it that new home look and that new home smell. And that basically will go a long way. The third thing I want sellers to focus on is really the first impressions. Now there's two vantage points. One is from the curb and the other is from the front door. So the seller should walk out. Many times I'll walk out with a seller and look at the front from the street. If it's not appealing to us, it won't be appealing to the market or the buyer. Now, I've literally been on listing appointments, Rob, where I've had to walk to the front door, and I felt like I was in the middle of an Indiana Jones movie because it was so overgrown.
Right.
Not a good thing. Trim back the bushes, that type of thing. The other, talking about the front entry, that's the only time a buyer basically has nothing to do but wait while the realtor unlocks the door, and what they're going to scrutinize the entry. So that's a chance for the seller to kind of make some good first impressions there at the front entry.
That's a good place to clean up. We all know there's bugs and spider webs that can get up there, and that because get it out.
Absolutely. And here's the big thing. Avoid major remodeling projects in order to sell your home. The National Association of Realtors publishes a list every year about the cost of doing an improvement and the value added. I was on a listing appointment, and I was a second real estate agent in there, and the first one in there recommended the seller invest $60,000 on a redo.
Oh my.
Now, according to the National Association of Realtors, they're only going to get about 60% of that back. So it makes no sense. You should adjust the price. So avoid the major remodeling projects in order to sell the house, because sellers generally want to get it done as cheap as possible. And when a buyer comes in, they may not like it either. So don't even bother. Just mitigate it on price.
But if you've got something going, get it finished?
Yes. You can't go halfway. I have had sellers out there that have done some projects and not others. And so when buyers walk in there, they see the work that has to be done, not the work that was already done. So I call it my '69 Camaro, which is my dream car. It's got to be cherry from bumper to bumper. Then you get the premium dollar for it. You just can't do the outside and leave the inside alone.
Good point. All right, Danny, thanks for coming in with that advice. Week News, we'll be right back.